sad, but also at the exact same time, it's another case of, well, you know that phrase that a lot of people don't like to use, you get what you vote for. But then again, though, at the same time, though, we've also got people online who are saying that that's not exactly a good phrase to use in a situation like this. And we'll be discussing that a little bit towards the end. But this video right here is kind of a two-parter, but both of these are, of course, are linked. Now, you guys saw the thumbnail. You looked at the fact that Washington, D.C. is now in a state where the people are actually demanding that the National Guard come in and actually fix the situation, or at least patrol the streets of D.C., or at least the very, very rough neighborhoods. And then you get this situation where the one grocery store in one neighborhood is actually closing down or moving. Now, here's the thing about this, right? They're calling it now a food desert because now there's not going to be any food there for anybody to buy. However, these situations are in fact linked, and we'll be talking about both of them. But before we get started, I want you to know right now, not only will I be addressing what I said earlier about the you get what you vote for trope, but I'll also at the same time be giving you guys a couple of updates because this week right here, we're kind of going back to the old formula, which was the formula that I decided to was doing to actually kind of ramp up the overall channel engagement. But I'll be explaining the reason why I'm doing that here soon. But with that right there out of the way, let's go ahead and get this story. So we got a situation in D.C. where one grocery store is shutting down in an extremely bad neighborhood. Now, I wonder why this is the case. Do you guys remember a while back I talked about the 4 locations in South Chicago, the 4 Walmart locations that were shutting down? Well, here's the thing. Washington, D.C. is now experiencing the exact same problem. You see, a lot of these grocery stores, when they shut down, it leaves a lot of the people in a position to where they have to go across town to get food and whatnot. And, of course, not just food, but supplies and all that type of stuff there, the type of things that you would basically need to survive for the rest of your week. Groceries, healthcare products, medicine, pretty important stuff when you actually think about it. And the thing is this right here. A lot of these locations are shutting down saying, well, we don't have the money to operate in that area, bankruptcy, all that type of stuff there. But we all know the real reasons why it is that these stores are in fact shutting down. They're shutting down because obviously the crime is out of control. Now, guys, I want you to see something really quick. I'll leave the full article, the full numbers in the description box, but I want to go ahead and bring this up. From 2022 to 2023, homicide in the city of Washington, D.C. has increased by 28%. Sexual assault has increased by 19%. Burglary somehow or another is down, but these are some pretty jarring numbers, okay? And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because it kind of highlights the next point that I'm about to speak of. You see, the citizens in Washington, D.C. are starting to demand that the U.S. government send in the National Guard, which is really kind of weird when you think about it, because if the National Guard was deployed to these areas, the most that they would do is just stand there. The most that these soldiers would be allowed to do is just stand there and not allow anybody to attack them. They're not going to be police officers. They're not going to be allowed to actually patrol the streets. They're basically just going to be great big giant paperweights and targets for criminals. This is something that, quite frankly, these people did not consider, did not think about, and I understand the reason why. They're desperate about the situation. They're desperate about the fact that crime is out of control. Let me give you guys a couple of examples of what I mean. Let's go ahead and roll this first story.
Is dealing with some unimaginable grief tonight. We've learned that a 15-year-old killed in a shooting last night on Stanton Road Southeast was a student at Digital Pioneers Academy. In fact, he was the 4th student at that school to be killed this school year.
Tonight, the school's founder promised to hold D.C. leaders accountable and offered parents a solution to keep their kids safe. News 4's Leon Harris joins us now with more on the plans.
Well, Jim, Sean, the student body at Digital Pioneers Academy is just absolutely reeling tonight. This is now the 4th student killed there this year, and the 2nd student killed in just less than 2 weeks. The most recent shooting was on Stanton Road in Southeast D.C. just last night. Officers found that teenager shot just around 10:30. He died at the hospital. Today, he was identified as Jalen Osborne. He was 15 years old. And tonight, the school's founder and CEO sent a letter out to students and their parents promising to fight for accountability from D.C. leaders, saying in part, quote, "It's clear that right now the city is in crisis and we must do more to protect our young people. In the days and weeks ahead, I will be meeting with city officials and civic leaders to demand more." She also asked parents for their help, saying, quote, "I'm making the recommendation that you keep your children indoors in the evening and in supervised activities during the day." In a tragic turn, it was only a few weeks ago that Digital Pioneers unveiled its new football program sponsored by the Washington Commanders. We were there to cover that announcement. Both Jalen and last week's shooting victim were set to suit up and play in the fall in the inaugural season for the school. The school, though, now mourning all four of these young men shot and killed in October, November, and then in just the last 2 weeks.
Now, this right here really breaks me up, because you see four young youths getting killed that, quite frankly, were trying to be in a position to where they could, quite frankly, better their lives. Okay, the football programs at the Washington football team, the Commanders, I still call them the Redskins because I'm not PC. These are good programs. These are programs to teach kids how to socialize. This is programs that, quite frankly, are designed to help kids be able to integrate into jobs, sports, all kinds of things. Just things that make your life better. Things that, quite frankly, you need in life: a job, money, the ability to play sports, the ability to do activities. That's what this right here is designed for. And then you find out that these four kids were killed over the course of a year. I don't know if I mentioned it or not already, but homicides have jumped from 2022 to 2023 to 28%. And a lot of these people who are getting killed are young black men, young kids. It kind of goes to that little thing I've had about the BRT stuff, which, by the way, I have a project on in the near future. I'll be able to basically read it. Fact of the matter is that you're creating, especially with this grocery store being moved, or this grocery store leaving the area, you're creating a situation where people are not going to be able to shop local. You're also, at the same time, you're also creating a situation where now people have got to go across town. I'm going to bring this up a little bit later on in the video, that the police departments are only going to, now that they've been defunded, the police departments are only going to protect those areas and patrol those communities that are the ones that pay the most amount in property taxes, meaning that they're only going to satisfy the actual city's taxpayers. Well, when you got a lot of people in this area who are relying on welfare, WIC, I'm not trying to say people are welfare birds, trust me, there are a lot of white people out there who do this type of stuff thing, where they would much rather take the federal government's handout rather than work a full-time job, which, by the way, the work requirement, in my opinion, does in fact need to come back. But the thing is this right here. When you do this, you're creating a situation of hopelessness for that community. It's the best I can do. The people in the area are saying, look, it's always going to be this bad. And the next thing you know, it becomes almost like being in a war-torn country, third world country as a whole. That's what defunding the police did. The great big giant BLM grift calls this defund the police. Okay, well, they defund the police by about 30%. Next thing you know, the cops in the area are only going to patrol the white neighborhoods with much higher property values. This is another reason why it is, I think, the National Guard being called in, or they wanting to bring the National Guard in to patrol that area, is obviously a bad idea, because at the end of the day, the boys that are actually going to be standing there with rifles and flak and Kevlar, next thing you know, they're only going to be targets. And then this other thing too, like what happens if one of these people actually shoots one of the National Guardsmen? What happens then? Are they going to be able to return fire? Guys, I've been hearing for a very long time, people talk about this is how it starts. The federal government is going to start sending the military in to start collecting people's guns, stuff like that right there. And of course, we've seen this case where the ATF has been going to try to collect solvent trap cleaners and stuff like that, gun parts, all that type of stuff there. But at the end of the day, if the National Guard was ever called in, they would be called into the cities and not the actual small town portions of America. They wouldn't be called into the suburbs. They would be called into the cities and the cities alone. Next thing you know, you have a war zone. I just figured I would go ahead and throw that out there. Now, let's go ahead and get to this next one.
Spent the day in Southeast D.C. talking with leaders and family members who have lost a loved one to gun violence. And now they want the city to bring him back up.
There's a lot of pain in this community and a lot of frustration. Some D.C. leaders believe it's time to bring in the National Guard. They're saying this crime is out of control and it's time to call for backup.
Say my son's name, Bernard Hodges!
The mother of Bernard Hodges, the victim of the Good Hope shooting, is pleading on city leaders for change. Community members, business owners, and church leaders stood by her side.
And we're here today standing in solidarity, saying enough is enough.
Good Hope Road was the scene of a triple homicide on Saturday. On Sunday, another shooting near Wilmington Place that left one man dead and another in the hospital. On Friday, a double homicide in Adams Morgan. Aside from demanding assistance from the National Guard, leaders talked about getting better mental health resources in the community, better policing, and better after-school programs to get young people off the streets and away from guns. We heard from the mother of Bernard Hodges. She says the community also needs to do a better job of speaking up when they see something.
We need to stop being afraid of saying we're snitching, That word needs to go under the ground.
Under the ground.
We need to bury that word. There's no such thing as snitching when you're trying to protect your community.
Children in the Southeast community no longer feel safe. The wife of Hodges says he worked several jobs to provide for his family. She says he was strong, intelligent, and a family man who leaves behind 4 boys.
We gotta do better, because I'm hurting. I'm hurt. And I'm trying to stay strong because he would want me to be strong, but I'm hurt. I have boys. I have 4 men I have to raise without a man in a house.
People who live here have lived here for decades. They no longer feel safe in their own community. They tell me they're scared to leave their homes, and again, they're just asking.
This right here is a man with 4 kids, killed. One of those homicide victims. Now, here's the thing. You saw the lady who I guess is his wife or it's his baby mama, whichever one you want to use. Either way, they're obviously involved. He's got 4 kids by her. Obviously, you feel bad for her. And then you hear the lady saying, say his name. Now, the reason why I'm saying, I showed you guys that, was because anytime somebody says, say his name, they are trying to get out there that their loved one died due to the situation that was created in the city. Now, I don't want to come off like an extremely unempathetic jerk. That's one of the main reasons why it is that I'm going to try to take a much softer tone when it comes to that whole topic that I mentioned at the very beginning of the video. But the thing is this right here. The situation in the city of Washington, D.C. has been getting worse for years. Worse and worse and worse and worse and worse for years. And right now we're seeing the consequences of it. But I also have to say something else to you. And like I said, I told you before, I was going to try to do everything I can to not be an unempathetic jerk. But the more and more and more that you see somebody on TV screaming and hollering, say his name, or screaming and hollering about the situation, which, by the way, is a bad situation. I mean, we need to pray for this family. We need to help this family out every way you can. But then again, though, do these people really and truly want to be helped? Do they really and truly want somebody to help them out? Or are they looking for some form of assistance? That lady with the 4 kids, she's going to now see a situation where she may not be able to go to the grocery store to buy the food and the stuff that she needs to help take care of them 4 boys. And then to go on top of that, at best you're only getting maybe 20 hours a week at a job. Next thing you know, you got to work 2 jobs. Next thing you know, the costs come up. Next thing you got to work 3. Next thing you know, you're relying on your family. Next thing you know, they don't have the money to help you out. It makes you almost wonder what exactly is going to happen to these people as a result of this. This is a very, very bad situation, a sad situation. And they're calling for the National Guard, or at least a D.C. council person is calling for the National Guard to step up and actually go into Washington, D.C., when in reality, what needs to happen is that you need to actually bring in more police officers and more overall first responders. The city of Washington, D.C. has decreased their police force, I want to say, by roughly 30%. They've done this because, obviously, the wokes have taken over and they've actually defunded their police. And something else, too, needs to be said about this. And I want to just go ahead and throw this out here. And if you guys think I'm wrong about this, go right ahead and say so in the comment section, but I'll stand on this. The police that are in the city, and this is actually working very, very much against the defund the police crowd. This is one of the reasons why it is that BLM was another one of the greatest, biggest, giant grifts that you will ever see, because obviously it was a grift that led you to ruin. The police that are actually on the force now are not going to be going to these neighborhoods. They're going to be going to the much wealthier white neighborhoods. They're going to be going to the neighborhoods where the property value is much higher. They're going to be going to the neighborhoods where the taxes, the tax revenue is obviously a lot higher. So when you get inside these poor neighborhoods where people are working maybe 15, 20 hours a week, working at convenience stores, can't get high-paying jobs, and in some cases have to rely on some form of government assistance, next thing you know, yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys are seeing where I'm going with this. After a while, police departments are just not going to patrol those areas. It makes you almost wonder who the hell was behind BLM and who the hell is also behind the D.C. City Council and the recent actions that they have performed. Grocery stores are leaving. Crime is through the roof. Homicides are definitely up by right around 30%. Sexual assaults are also up as well. And we've got people in the street screaming, say his name, which, by the way, is obviously something that, quite frankly, we'd pay very close attention to, because obviously this right here is a problem. But at the same time, though, it comes back to the whole thing about people saying that you've got to be a complete, total idiot if you keep on saying you get what you vote for. You voted for this, so therefore it's your problem, not mine. My response to that is this right here. Why is this such a stupid thing to say? Seriously, why is this such a stupid thing to say? You see, the thing that I gather is that the people who are saying that we're stupid for saying you get what you vote for are the same people who actually live in those areas. And I get where they're coming from, that they think that these people can be changed. They think that these people are going to wake up and that these people are actually going to go out of their way to change their mind and change their vote. And my response is this right here. They haven't been changing it for years. And it's now gotten to the point to where they're living in the nightmare that, quite frankly, they created. Look, I had my head up my rear for a long time in establishment politics, and it took me a long time to actually break out of it and actually see what the hell was going on. And this, of course, does happen to a lot of people. But if the patterns, the voting patterns, continue to show that you continue to vote for these woke Soros-like DAs, if it continues to occur, then after a while, you're going to get exactly what the hell you voted for. So no, it is not a stupid thing to say. Until these people decide to change their patterns and wake the hell up to the reality that they have created, I'm going to continue to say it. And quite frankly, I really and truly do not care. And with that right there being said, guys, let me go ahead and end this video on a very quick note. The First Blood project that I'm working on, Gear Issue 33, I decided to post that up on Saturday. The reason why is because the script ended up being a little bit too bloated and the project was damn near 40 minutes long. I'm pretty sure I can do it in a little bit less time, probably right over 25 to 30. That video will be up, or will be posted to Saturday. It'll be made tomorrow, but the reason why I'm posting it to Saturday is it gives me 6 days to kind of work out, okay, what's the copyright claim, because YouTube is that way. They love to do that type of stuff. Also, something else too, we're going to try to be going back to 2 videos a day, at least for this week, and possibly until at least until Labor Day. Labor Day, I may take a few days to kind of go back and sit back and look at things. I'm also creating other channels for different types of content. Of course, there's going to be some videos that are going to be released here in the near future. Like, for example, I want to start using, like I said before in the previous videos, I want to start using films, especially films like, say, American History X, video games like Metal Gear Solid, to kind of help get the point across on what is actually being said, because the truth be told is that a lot of these things actually have a lot of very good time social commentary that, quite frankly, nobody picks up on. And something else too, Hollywood and gaming, of course, is a battlefield that I really and truly believe is now worth actually fighting on, because that's where a lot of this Marxist propaganda is coming from. The ultimate goal is to eventually turn the channel into an overall video essay channel. I've released a few of these on this platform. I want to go to that right there, but it's probably not going to fully happen until 2024. So what I'm doing is easing into that roughly once a week. Hopefully, the Death of Disney project will be out on Saturday, and then the one that I've been looking at the most recently, Get Out, that right there may come out the following week. The idea is to get back to 2 videos a day for the time being, but in 2024, the idea is to have the format that we have now, and of course, it always has a way of not working out with me. The idea is to have this format shifted over to Rumble at some point in time, because YouTube, of course, loves to give you the yellow dollar sign. And YouTube has now got this thing where they love to take away your likes. I've had several videos get to like 13, 14 likes, and all of a sudden, in the middle of nowhere, it suddenly disappears to like 5 or 6. It's almost as if to say the platform doesn't want to see somebody get paid. But then again, though, we shall see. Guys, make sure you guys hit that like button. Also, hit the subscribe button if you're new here. Please, also, one more thing, too. Make sure you guys also not only hit the subscribe button, but please share the video. Please leave a comment in the comment section, and I shall see you guys later.